Former U.S. President Donald Trump pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records at his arraignment. Despite being warned by the judge not to incite unrest with his rhetoric, Trump delivered remarks later, when he was safe in Mar-a-Lago, criticising the case and its presiding authorities.
The reality is this is the first day just in this one matter. There are going to be plenty more days like this in connection with all of the pending legal trouble that Donald Trump finds himself in. And that's why I raised the question, yes, Donald Trump is enjoying a bit of a boon. He's raising money, etc. But I do wonder how tenable and how much of a stranglehold he'll have on the lead for as long as this stuff persists and all this stuff swirls in the clouds. And one of the key numbers that needs to be keep repeating is, in a CNN poll, 60% of Americans approve of this indictment. Now, that is pretty damning because this indictment, in my view, is a reach. What it demonstrates to me above all is that Donald Trump, when it comes to the general election, he has lost the middle. He has lost that crucial cohort of people who might have taken a punt on him once or even twice.
You mentioned in passing there that this charge taken by Alvin Bragg against him, 34 felony charges, a bit of overreach. Bragg last night in his press conference was really linking all of this not to just ordinary white-collar crime, but the undermining of the electoral process. I mean, if these convictions actually hold and he was convicted, it would actually undermine the legitimacy of the 2016 election.
It could, yeah, it certainly would, and look, there's 100 potentially Trump, if he was convicted on all these counts, he could serve 134 years in prison. Now that's unlikely to happen, but still, look, this, again, because he won, it makes it all it heightens it more. But this has been tried in broadly similar circumstances before with respect to John Edwards, who was a Democratic candidate for president, and that went nowhere. That prosecutor, the jury acquitted him very quickly on all counts, but one of the bigger issues here is that, look, this is a legal theory that's a difficult one, but there's also a statute of limitations issue here. There's also a venue issue here. Trump's going to try to seek to get this out of here.
But the statute stopped, did it not, when he became president? It also stopped when he's out of New York as his residency. He's now in Florida, and Governor Cuomo also paused it during the pandemic.
Yeah, the statute issue, I think, is debatable, and this is the thing. For Trump's lawyers, they can file, and I expect they will file a motion to dismiss this as time barred. But what they can then do is, if they lose, they can appeal that all the way up. Yeah. So this could be dragged out for an awful long time.
Yeah. Sure, but the next hearing is not due until December anyway. Yeah. In the meantime, you would expect action by the Department of Justice on January the 6th. You'd expect action by the FBI and the documents. You'd expect action in Georgia from the district attorney there, the racist district attorney, as Trump described her. So there may be, I mean, this may have just been the plug taken out of the dam that unleashes the flood.
Absolutely. I mean, this could instigate further action. This could instigate the speed with which these investigations are proceeding. We could hear an announcement imminently from Georgia as to what's to happen there.
In other words, once the precedent has been established by someone else, Alvin Bragg, that others may feel, well, we're not making history anymore, let's just do it.
Yeah, and the one, to be frank, the one that I think is most dangerous for Trump relates to the documents and the obstruction and the lying and everything else. In terms of a straightforward criminal prosecution without potential defenses like the First Amendment, which would lurk in January 6th, etc., I think the documents presents the biggest problem for Trump.
What about those around him? I mean, Michael Cohen will eventually get to testify if the current case goes all the way. Stormy Daniels, I think that remark she made, was she afraid of Donald Trump? And she said, well, when you've seen Donald Trump naked, how could him wearing a suit be more scary than that? So if it does get to court, it's going to be box office stuff.
Yeah, I mean, before I address the question, I suppose you don't know whether to laugh or cry when, especially somebody born and raised and educated in the United States, where we're taught to revere our institutions, including the presidency, that we've reached this extreme low point and all this tawdry stuff is there. But on the serious point, I mean, this is another problem for DA Bragg, is that, two of the witnesses who potentially, the prosecution will be depending on are Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels, and I think their credibility is pretty easily assailable.
and that's what they will do. But this is a long way down the road.
It's a long way down the road, and as you say, the other clouds swirling are what a bigger problem for Trump, both legally and crucially politically. And this is what to watch for. Some people are saying this has got Trump the nomination. This is it. This is it. I'm not so sure. I think that in time, as this all continues to play out, wait and see if support does ebb away from the former president. That's what is to watch for.
Just listening to the bit of Mar-a-Lago that we played and some other bits that I've already heard, I mean, you have to question, is he a well man at all?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the rambling speech in Mar-a-Lago, and certainly some of the language he used about the judge, and the language he used even about the judge's family was in direct contravention of the judge's warning to him. Now, the judge could very easily, based on what I heard there and based on what he had been warned, he's almost daring the judge to hold him in contempt. So Donald Trump had better watch his step on that. And as you say, that language might play to his most rabid following. But remember, even to win the Republican nomination, he needs to win over some people who aren't in that 1/3 core grouping who will be with him no matter what. The base needs to be broader than that. Now, some of those people have drifted his way for now because they see this as a witch hunt. Whether they'll stay once we have the documents, once we have January 6th, once we have Georgia, that's an open question.